guys, welcome back to Tidbits with Trin. It's your girl Trin, and I'm here with
Sursa.
DJ Deloy, yes. And today we're going to talk about a few topics that we've previously discussed. We're going to talk about the it is what it is mentality and if it is toxic or good for you. We're going to talk about sweeping trauma under the rug and how it goes into that mentality. And then I think we're just going to try to round that out about like how we feel about it. Okay?
All right.
Now, personally, I say it is what it is a lot. It is what it is a staple in surviving in the world we live in, where money and politics and everything is in the current state that it is, unfortunately. But I really do feel like it is what it is. Can be nuanced. I think it could be both positive, good for you, and negative. I think sometimes we may get a little bit too into like brushing everything off and not taking a moment to stop and think about how we feel in that moment or how we're making other people feel. I mean,
I've heard some people.
Oh, I mean, I've said it is what it is about like some pretty heavy stuff. So.
Well, sometimes that's what you gotta do to get through it, though.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you gotta bear down and just be like, I can't change it. Like, I just found out I have to stay an extra semester than I wanted to. Mm. And let me tell you, I deep down, that felt like I got gutted. That genuinely was, like, terrible. Because the same thing happened to me when I went to UCC. Where, like, right at the end, like, they just tacked on some random class I needed that just wasn't originally on my agenda. So it was, like... I almost, like, felt, like, really defeated.
Story of her life.
They added 6 more classes to mine at UCC. And then here they added, like, 4 more. And I was just like...
But I swear it's all a money grab. Because it's like, you could have been told me... Don't look at my dogs. You could have been told me that I needed these classes. Like, you could have been said that. And I do really deeply feel like sometimes, like, when things happen, like a setback, you can feel, like, very, like, well... I'm the worst college student in the world. When it's not even necessarily true. It's like so many people on this campus. We have a lot of super seniors here. Like people that should have graduated forever ago and they're like still going on. Yeah. So, and that's not to like shame anybody. Everybody's journey is different. But it's also like for that situation, yeah, it is what it is. But then it's like when you're talking about things like familial trauma, you can't always just be like, it is what it is. Because sometimes you have the tools to have the conversation and just nobody wants to have the conversation.
Yeah. Because it's like, the other person, you don't, okay, it's like, if it's your parent, then it's like, well, I can't really make you feel guilty because, like, you were doing the best that you could, but sometimes I'm like, that wasn't the best that you could. But, you know, as that child, you're like, I feel like you could have done better in this situation.
You could have just not done the thing that you did that hurt my feelings, but,
no.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen that quote, like, when the Barbie movie came out, it was like, it's your mom's first time being a girl too.
Yeah.
And then that did make me feel like a significant level of sympathy for like not even only my mom but the women in my life, because I'm just like I can't imagine being like a single mom or like supporting a kid or anything, because like I can barely support myself right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you want to be sympathetic and you want to be like, okay, like I'm being patient with you because you're learning, but then I think also sometimes it can feel like, babe, you've got 30 plus years on me, or you've got time on me like that you were on the earth before I was even here. Mm-hmm. And if I can go through the thought process of breaking it down and like communicating how I really feel, like why can't you do that?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes moms and daughters can be like a headbutt issue because I think we tend to be a lot like our mothers.
Oh yeah.
And then they see a bit of themselves in us.
That's crazy because my sibling said that I will grow up to be my mother. I'm like, don't you dare say that. Don't you ever.
I was something like her, but not her.
Yeah, all of our traits, or her traits, like, got passed down.
Daughters usually pick that up, especially if dad's not.
Yeah.
Like the rudeness.
Oh my God, like those progressive commercials that are like, I'm turning into my parent. No, because I do catch myself, like, the other day, I Karen'd out in a store. And it wasn't, like, exceptionally rude. I don't feel like I ruined anybody's day. But I was like, no, I ordered it this way. I want it this way. I ordered it in advance, and it should have been ready. So, like, what are we going to do about it? And in that moment, I caught myself, and I was like, oh, my God. I remember, like, being younger and be like, Mom, just, like, let it go. Like, I don't need it. I'll just take the black beans. Like, it's fine.
Like, no, like...
And then now, as an adult, when you're spending your money on it, it's like, yeah, I want it to be correct, and I want it to be right.
Yes.
but that I think that's like another it is what it is thing. Like I think that's another thing where it's like, am I turning into my mom? Maybe.
As long as you can take the good parts of your mom.
Yeah, but I do feel like every generation is a new opportunity to be like your parent, but in a better
To
way.
grow from it.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
my mom has great traits. Like it's not to say like I don't think my mom was a good mom. I think she did like she made sure I was in extracurricular activities that like made me a better person. She made me go to English classes on the side. I did educational programs over the summer. So it was like my mom made sure that like my education was good, and she made sure I looked good, and she made sure my hair was done. But then it's also sometimes like I'll talk to my mom about like our communication level, and like my mom tends to shut down a little bit.
Same.
And that's one of those things I can see in myself where I'll shut down on a situation. And not even just like I'm upset. Like sometimes like if I'm talking to somebody new and I'm just not that into it, I really would check out.
Yeah.
I'm out. Like I'm gone. And it's not to say like I don't like that person, but it's also just like I feel very much I don't have to spend my time on things that I don't want to spend my time on. So why would I?
Mm.
That can be kind of
But
that
it
can
can
be kind of itchy, so I get that, but
That could also just be like a healthy thing, and you're just taking it to a different level in a different area where it kind of doesn't need to be there.
yeah, I get you.
Because, like, as kids, at least, depending on how your parent was, I know with my mom, it was if I didn't want to do anything, and if I was like, I really don't want to do anything, because I didn't react to a lot of things. I was like, if you told me to go do something, I'd go do it, because I'd just be like, it's not worth the drama. But if I really didn't want to go do something, and I had to fight you, she'd be like, all right, fine, whatever. But can you tell me why you don't want to do it? And I'm like, not really, it just doesn't seem good to me. And she'd be like, all right, fine, whatever. My dad, on the other hand, is like I don't give a fuck. Go do it. I just told you to go
Yeah.
do something. Go do it. Not to necessarily go do something. It'd be like something stupid. And I'm like, that makes no sense. Why do I have to take my sweater off if I'm cold and we're going to be outside? I'm like, I'm still going to be cold. That type
Yeah.
of little things like that. So, like, as adults, if we've had too many situations like that, we're just kind of like, just not doing that anymore. You're not my parent. I don't have to
Yeah.
do that for you.
I get you. And I do think like a lot of the time our parents are like, I know what's best for you, and like I get it though, because like I feel like sometimes like looking back at like who I was like as a teenager, I'm like horrified. I'm like, what were you doing? Like you could have reeled that in a little bit. Like I don't know. Like when I got to my senior year in high school, I went through like a rebellious situation. I had a boyfriend. I was sneaking said boyfriend in the house. I broke some boundaries. I crossed some boundaries and I broke some trust. Let's put it that way. And it took my mom and I a long time to recover from that. It was like a big blow to the trust in our relationship. But it was like the first time I was really making decisions like on my own. Like I'm just going to do this. But like looking back, I feel like once I'm an adult and I have kids, or I'm in a position where I can bring a kid into this world, I feel like I'm going to feel that same way about my kid. Like, oh my God, I was once this stupid. Like, I know your boyfriend is not going to, you guys are not going to run off into the sunset and get married. Or like, I know that he's just your prom date. Like, you know things as a parent. And I think sometimes you so badly want to protect your kid from themselves that you end up villainizing yourself. Because, I mean, there's been times when my mom, ew, there's like a dead ladybug in my lab.
Oh,
That
that
random.
poor ladybug, though.
It was just the shell. I don't know where the rest of it is.
Oh, dear.
Ew. Anyway, I'm not cutting that out. It's staying in here. But I do think that like sometimes your parents are like, okay, well, you're just gonna do it because I want you to do it, and then it may have a positive outcome, but then you're also like, why do you have to be like a jerk about it? Like, why can't you just like do what they do?
And it's also just like you were just saying, like they do know better and they want to protect you from things, but it's also you can't protect them from everything. So let them learn the little lessons and take from that and learn for the future.
Oh, I got my scarf.
Yeah, that's true.
One thing I hate about like some parents is that like they use you for things. Like I won't lie, like this like is a part of it, but not really. But like okay, so like you know some parents, because I'm not gonna like list it out, but you know how like they need you for something, but like you feel like you owe them. Because, you know, they raised you and put, like, food on the table and
No.
Okay.
No, you know,
First off, the way I see that is
Yeah.
I don't owe you.
Yeah.
You can always say that I gave you life, I took care of you for all of these years, but that was your job as a parent. You chose to have me. You chose to follow the rest.
Yeah,
They'll
that's
be like, that wasn't my job. I didn't have to do any of that. I'm like, no, you did, or else you would have been looked at like you were a piece of shit.
Yeah. So like for me, it's like
Not necessarily if you can't take care of your kid, you're a piece of shit. But like,
yeah.
it's just more like you're gonna be looked at a certain way if you're not doing it,
You know,
regardless.
Have you ever seen that theory? Not to cut you off, but
Yeah,
have you ever
sorry.
seen that theory about how like a lot of parents were like thrust into parenthood and they didn't choose
That was
parenthood,
next actually. That was
which
next.
is why they don't connect with their kids
Yeah.
the same way. Like my mom very much chose to have a kid, so I know deep down that she wanted a kid. She mentally prepared herself to have a kid, and she did things. I think sometimes people are like, okay, well, I'm 26, I got pregnant, I'm not a 16-year-old anymore, so like I should keep this and try to make it work. But then they're not really in a position to make it work. So then it's like, I mean, guys, everybody's starting to get pregnant, everybody's starting to get married. Right?
That's
Everybody's
how
starting to
they-
get married. Everybody's
Yeah.
starting to do new things
Yeah.
that are just
No,
like crazy.
Some people just can't have kids. I'm sorry. Like,
They shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Kids. Shouldn't.
don't deserve. I don't care. They do not deserve. Okay, because a lot of them just be treating their child so wrong. But I'm just like, oh, all right. So
Yeah, or they just never learned what parenting was really about. Because sometimes you think about it like a lot of people's grandparents like weren't nice to their parents because it was like a different generation and like a different way of parenting. Like parenting over time has gotten gentler to like where we've gotten to where we currently are with gentle parenting. And then gentle parenting I don't love because I think you sometimes have to find like a middle
They
ground.
coddle too much.
Yeah.
so say. Well, first of all, I skipped my other one, but okay.
No, we're gonna
Say
go
like
back
you
to it.
have a nice parent and then a mean parent. So like sometimes you need that nice parent in your life because I won't lie, I have that, but it's okay. I don't mind saying that.
But it's a good balance, though.
Yeah, so exactly. So like I'm
Or one of
happy that
each,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm happy that my mother is actually the mean one. But like she's loving in a way like she'll prove to you that like she'll care for you, fight someone for you, you know, cuz the neighbor, that whole situation. But I'm just like, okay, I see you in this light, but in other lights, you come at me for no reason, okay? I don't print something out for her, she's mad. I don't do this for her, she's mad. And I'm like, well, you could do it yourself. I'm busy.
Also, that ties back into what you were saying, where you feel like you owe that.
Yeah,
owe that
exactly,
stuff.
exactly. But I'm just like, you have other daughters. Just because I'm in school don't mean I need to do everything for you, okay? But it's like, okay, so I'm just being used. I feel used. And then after a while, she's like, you got to leave soon. You got to pay for your own. I'm like, I'm fine with that. I want to leave now. But, you know, just today's economy is like
I
the
mean,
bills. But
yeah, I
As
mean,
long as you can.
that's what I'm saying. Like, my goal is to stay
Yeah.
in my mom's house as long as I can.
Yeah.
I mean, just because financially it makes sense. Like, I'll get along with you to save some money.
yeah,
But I think,
like, I'll suffer for now.
but I've noticed like that in a lot of like families where either there's multiple girls or there's like a firstborn girl or like a middle girl, like multiple girls. I think that there tends to be one sibling that gets parentified, and as an only
Firstborn
child, I feel like sometimes you start to parentify yourself. So you're like, my mom is a single mom and she has to go to work. So it's like, who's gonna play with me and who's gonna do this? Me, right? I don't
Yeah.
have siblings to go bother and do things. I did things by myself, and it's not even sound sad. Like I know a lot of people want to be an only child, and I know that sometimes that's a breeze compared to like having siblings. But then there
You
is
know
like
what?
an added level of support that you get when you have siblings to an extent.
True, but
Depends.
shout out to the firstborn, okay? Because they really just held it down.
They be holding
Hey,
it down.
okay.
The firstborn
I
be
won't
We
holding
gotta
lie.
be
it
the
down.
responsible
Yes,
ones.
I won't
We
lie.
gotta
Shout
be
out to you, okay? Because honestly, my sibling went through a lot, and for that, she needs an award. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm glad she moved out. Because everything just throughout the years just was a lot for us, and I was just like, you know what? I respect you, but stop taking my shit. I'm sorry. Stop
Well,
taking my
see,
shit,
but then
and
it's
we'll
like
be
it sounds like
fine.
that's like what the main issue is like with most like sisters is
Yeah.
like
They take your
I have to
shit.
share my
Yeah.
whole realm with you, and then it's like I actually like have thought like a lot about like wanting a sibling and things, and I've thought about a lot about if I would want a sister or like a brother, and I almost feel like I would want a brother instead of a sister because like I feel like a sister you share your spotlight. As a girl, like you share your makeup, you share
don't
your
want a
stuff.
brother.
With
I
her.
hate being.
Okay, but boys are just like gross, but like.
I actually want.
Okay,
a
first
brother.
off, having a brother does not mean he
So you have a
won't
brother
steal your
and a
shit.
sister.
I have 4 older sisters. I did not grow up with them. So I was like firstborn daughter in my household. And then I have one younger brother who I did grow up with. Just because he's a boy doesn't mean he won't steal your shit. You don't have to be gay to be stealing your shit, okay?
They like
all my perfumes.
No. Open.
He take it mostly I think because he was smoking, but also because he was like, it smells good. The girls like the way it smells. I'm like, stay the fuck out of my room. I bought that shit. She didn't buy it. I can't say anything if my mom bought it because then she's like, share. But if I bought it myself, that's just mine, okay? That's just mine.
You know what?
But also, boys
go ahead.
are gross. And, like, if they're a younger sibling and they're the only boy, boys do also get a certain level of favoritism that even if they're not the favorite child,
Oh, I've heard
they
that.
have a bit
though,
more
like,
leeway.
because, oh my God, though,
Especially if
because
they're the
moms,
youngest.
with all due respect to the men that listen to this, moms coddle their boys, okay? They raise their girls and then coddle their boys. I've seen my male friends get away with some stuff that if I would have done that in my household, or even spoken to my mom that way. I mean, I have male friends that, like, talk about their hookups with their moms, like, casually. And I know that can be weird. But I feel like more...
Depends on how close you are to
yeah,
your
but I
mom.
also feel like it's more in the sense of, like, sometimes as a girl, if you're forward about that kind of thing, it's like, oh, like, come on, act like a lady.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Or,
get
like,
pregnant. Blah, blah,
Don't
blah.
get pregnant. Like, you get the responsibility side of the hookup.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's all good and, like, gets the get-go to, like, you know, it is what it is. Like, boys will be boys. Like... He has that ability to go out and screw as many girls as he wants. But then as a girl, when you're like, oh, yeah, like, I was talking to this guy, then I was talking to this guy, then it's like... And then I think there is a certain level of shared responsibility, though, where you both should be getting asked about protection and, like, what you're choosing to do. Because I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It's called Kids. It's, like, considered one of, like, those disturbing movies. But, like, in that movie, like, he's, like, they're all teenagers, and he basically... is like having sex with a lot of people in like a short period of time. And this is like at the peak of like the AIDS epidemic, and at some point in the movie like they discussed the fact that like he had sex with so many people in a short window of time that before he even was aware that he had it, he had already passed it on to so many people, which was how it had spread so fast. Because if you're used to a weekend lifestyle of like, I'm sleeping with whoever I want, I'm gonna take you home from the club, and now you've gained 6 bodies, more power to you, you've gained 6 bodies. But if you're not using condoms or protection, now those 6 people have whatever you have.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, in my school nurse's office, they used to have a poster that was like, every person you kiss all the people they've kissed, and then you also kiss all the people that those people have kissed. So it's like every time you kiss somebody, you've kissed so many people. So it's like, I kissed my boyfriend, but then he has an ex-girlfriend who has 6 ex-boyfriends. I've just kissed her and her 6 ex-boyfriends. So that's like the whole like premise of like keep it safe. But like to round it back to the boy thing, I don't think guys get that talk a lot. They get like sometimes they like don't get a girl pregnant talk, but they don't talk about safety. Guys pass like silent STDs like crazy.
Yeah.
Like chlamydia, like a lot of guys don't get symptoms from. So they don't usually know something's wrong, but they don't get tested enough to, like, know.
Yeah.
So by the time they're, like, at a regular blood test for a physical, they're like, oh, you have chlamydia. And it's like, oh, snap, like, I've just been screwing the whole school, like.
Now the whole school has chlamydia.
I'm just like...
But yeah, I would rather have had a younger sister. Because they're, again, less disgusting.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I hate being compared. No, I hate being compared to my older sibling or the middle
I could have
or the
taken
youngest
that.
one.
I was the one that was having the person compared to. So, like, I was a very good kid, also. I didn't do a single thing.
So much.
I was that kid in the movies where you're like, oh, damn, they need to have a great time because they don't do shit with their life. I did shit with my life. I had honor roll all the time, all that stuff.
Yeah, no, me
but
too.
I didn't hang out with people outside of school unless it was like Joe because
Oh, but
she had
I didn't.
a car.
But, you know, that was like another thing though. Like growing up, I didn't hang out with a lot of people because of like the whole like my mom was gonna be like, okay, who's taking you? Like,
Yeah.
what time are you coming back? Like,
It's like I don't want to deal with any of that.
I never went to the mall
and
with
especially
friends
because
and
it's
all that.
like I never did sleepovers. I
Same.
very rarely
I
went
did.
to a sleepover.
My mother did not trust that.
My mom didn't like sleepovers
Yeah.
because it's like, does she have an older brother? I mean, does she have an older brother? Does
Exactly.
she have a dad? And like, but then that's the thing of like, that's where you can see the love sometimes as a girl.
Yeah.
But then it's like you feel overprotected, or maybe sometimes you feel smothered. But then it's like, would I rather have a mom that didn't let me go to sleepovers, or would I rather have had a mom that let me do whatever I want, and then like I have all this trauma from like situations that the adult in my life should have protected me from.
See, but it's also in a case where like you should try to protect your kids from that ever happening, but it's also you need to educate your kids on if something like that was to ever happen, what they should do about it, who they should talk to immediately afterwards. So then they at least have the joy of being able to be like, I'm gonna let my
Get
kids
them
go
a
on
phone.
sleepovers because I loved going on sleepovers. I had about 2 people when I was younger who I went to their house all the time for sleepovers. One, my aunt, this was before she, Ray's mom got married. I'd sleep over there all the time, and like my mom trusted Uncle Jimmy, so I'd sleep
Oh
over
yeah, that's
when they
also
got
different,
married.
you know.
But then my friend Sydney still lived with her, like always lived with her dad and stuff. So I'd always sleep over there. It's about who your parents trust, because if your parents don't know those people, then it's understandable.
Yeah.
But that's on the parents also. You should be friends with your kids' parents. Is my belief.
Yeah, you also have to give the perspective though, because like sometimes, like when it's like a single parent, or your parent works a lot, or your parents like around. I guess not to say like I had an absent parent. I had a village like around me. Like, you know, it wasn't like I had no people.
Mhm.
But then it's like when you have a parent that's like, I have to be at work from 9 to 5. They're not at the PTA meetings that often. They're not at those things. They're not meeting these people. So usually, like if I had a friend like I wanted to hang out with, like my best friend Raven, or like I've known her since middle school, and like we used to have to be like, okay, my mom is gonna call your mom, and like this is how we're gonna do that. But like I didn't do that for a lot of people because sometimes people aren't worth that level of effort.
Yes.
You know, like am I gonna really introduce you to my mom? Like for me, not even just on a relationship level. Like if you're my friend, if you've met my mom even in passing, we're locked in because like I don't need you to, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I won't lie, she's met my mom by accident.
oh,
She-
but
she kinda
you
just
wouldn't
walked
have,
over.
You wouldn't have intentionally.
At one point, your mom asked to meet me because because I was dropping you off so much. I remember this because this was back in UCC. You were like, I think I have to introduce you to my mom, and I was like, oh, okay. And then you're like, nope, we don't have to do that anymore. I was like, I don't want to meet anyone's
Well,
parents.
it's like I think meeting someone's parent is like, okay, like now I'm really close to you. Like, you know, like I think that's like a very intimate kind of thing.
You know, no, for me, it's my siblings.
I also met her sisters all by accident.
Yeah, but see, like I don't have siblings. You
I
know
know,
what I'm saying?
but
So
like,
it's
it's
so
just
it's like not the same. But like for me, if you meet my dogs, like if you come over and look at my dog, like that's like a big thing for me.
Yeah,
Like,
if I let you hold my cat,
if you're,
that's.
I actually
I
have so
trust
many
you.
friends. I have so many friends, just for the record, that have never been to my house. Like, this is, like, a genuine thing. Like, because this is my mom's house, and, like, I respect it. And my mom is, like, very mindful of, like, who she brings around.
Yes.
Which, again, is a safety thing. Like, I'm not mad that I'm safe. I'm not mad that I don't have, like, some horrific trauma from, like, my mom being reckless. I'm not saying that. But it's also just, like, you know? I think, I don't know, guys. I just want to be nice to the moms. I don't want to be too mean. But it's also just, like...
Because moms deserve a lot of credit. And growing up, when you're so psychologists say growing up your mom will get the most shit from doesn't matter if you're a girl or a guy, you always give your mom the most shit, unless obviously like tables are like reversed and your dad's the one. Like even then moms always get the most shit, but once you hit adulthood you're like, okay, I'm
gonna be no, because
like,
I do know how often sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh, it was so mean. Sometimes I look back and I was like, some of those arguments were just not necessary.
All the times I was like, I hate you, I'm gonna run away. She's like, all right, go
and
ahead.
it's like, I never told my mom I hated her, but I definitely was like, I'm leaving, I'm done.
Same.
With what money? With what
Yeah,
car?
where was I going?
With what
like,
what
where are you
adult
going?
setups?
You know, like for me, it's the opposite. Like it's now, like we're doing that now. Our anger released now at our 20s. Me and my siblings.
Because
we're
you
just
held it in. You didn't have you're like, that's what I mean. It depends on the situation. Because like, if I had your mom, whew,
so
I would have been
for us,
very quiet. I would have
Yeah,
never
no.
said any of that.
I won't lie. My mother, since like she's a tough person, kept all that thing deep inside till I was like, what, 18. And then I was just like, you know what? Blah, 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 blah. But, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's the thing though. I think also sometimes parents don't realize like the value they have and the kind of kid they have. Because like I was like a very like good kid. Like, and as extroverted as I am, pretty timid, like in the same like breath. Because it's like I wasn't going up to like strangers and wanting to go to their house or anything like that. But I think sometimes it's like if you have a kid that like wholeheartedly respects you, and like no matter what level you push them to, they don't say anything to you. At some point, you need to realize that like you're getting into like a power play where you're more like a bully than like a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of like the situations with my mom is more like me with my personal feelings about things and like the way I interpret things. Because it's like, oh my God, I always have this like same debate with myself. Like, would you rather like you go on a date with somebody and then they tell you you've gained weight? Or would you rather your mom tell you gained weight? It's not a good feeling either way. But who would you rather hear it from? Neither, right? But I'm
my
like,
friend actually.
I won't want my friend to tell me.
Impressing and be like,
Because I
"Ooh, you feeling out?"
She told me I was getting a little bit.
I said your pants. I said she got more head. That's all I say. I only ever say
You are a little thick in the
hip.
But like it's okay.
And you have
I
a
needed
little
to hear
waist.
it.
You have a little
Also,
waist.
I think it happened the same time. I was like, your boobs got bigger. And you were like,
Shut up. And I was
So
like,
it's got more
what?
voluptuous. But I say that to say, like, sometimes, like, my mom will, like, trying to look out for me, and she'll comment on something, and then my feelings will get so hurt that I can't see that she didn't mean to hurt my feelings.
But it's also like, you think I don't notice this shit already? Why are you
I
pointing it out?
I think she's like, before you go out into the streets and then someone else says it to you and it like feels like super hurtful because you're like, oh, now the whole world knows. Granted, I know the whole world knows, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? I just say like, I think they have well intentions sometimes, and then somewhere along the way it just gets lost in translation. Like,
Yeah. When it comes out, it's like,
I
thanks
mean,
for that.
also think about the eras they lived in. Like, in the 90s and, like, in, like, the 80s, people were really bitchy. Like, I'm not even saying that to be, like, like,
just
the-
cunts
like,
now, but
oh my God. A lot of people's moms, like, from the similar era, I noticed, like, they'll comment on, like, people walking down the street and stuff, which I don't do. But, like, they will literally be like, oh my God, those tights are hideous. Like, about somebody walking down the street, and then you're like, that person, like, did nothing to deserve what you just said about them.
I know for a fact that the way I look at people and what I say stems from the fact that I've always heard my mom say the same thing. She'll always be like, she shouldn't have worn that, or
you know,
that's not for her.
Honestly, that's me. When I walk down the street, I'm just like, they're judging me because I'm wearing something so short and tight. But I'm like, I don't care. They're looking. Go ahead.
See?
Yeah.
She would have actually. She wouldn't have mentioned anything about that. It's just like if you looked crazy, she would be like, or if you exhibited some like behavior that was like, then she'd be like, we don't do that. After we leave, she'd be like, you know, I was like, that was so cool. She's like, yeah, that's not the one. That's not the cool you want to be though.
You want to reel that back in.
Okay.
Like sometimes in front of her mom, I had to like put on some pants or something because I was just like, let me not
is your mom
look this way.
conservative?
I want to say yes and no. I want to say she was raised by conservatives, but she would like me to be a bit more conservative. She knows my skirts won't be down to my knees, but she definitely is a to your fingertips type of mom.
So she's like a be a lady mom.
Yes,
like
that is exactly what she is.
Carry yourself a certain
She's more
way.
of like,
You're
don't
a
let them see
reflection
you
of
cry,
the
make sure you
household.
always look
Yeah.
put together. So I purposely, growing up, I was also a very tomboy, and I'm still a little
Same.
bit. I'm like, I'm not gonna look fucking put together because I don't want to look put together unless I need to look put together.
Thing. I wanted her to show more like emotions because I needed it during school times. You know, like sometimes I come home all sad. And I'm not gonna talk about it, but like I come home sad, and I'm just like, I can't talk about it because my mother said like just like keep it all in. Yeah, I'm just like,
the ones
suffering
when you
inside.
come to them and they're like, well, and they give you the very adult response rather than the response that you were hoping for to be like, please listen to me, please like.
I like how in the
Give me
beginning
a
we
friend.
set like what we were gonna say, and now we've just been talking about moms for 20
Look at that, we're
minutes.
gonna make it
Okay.
more than an hour.
You know what? Yeah, okay. That's
Moms
true.
are
That's-
Mommy,
yeah,
I love you.
honestly,
We're
no.
just having a moment.
I won't lie. Okay, dads too. Love my dad. He's actually been my. Oh.
Don't look at my feet.
Oh.
You keep making eye contact with my toes. Please.
My eyes are everywhere.
No, she keeps going. No, Sav keeps going like
She got
for people who don't understand. I have on no shoes and no socks right now, and I'm feeling a little insecure about it. But Sav just keeps going like this, like. And I know you're zoning out, but you just keep zoning out at my feet. Anyway, keep talking.
Okay, so for my dad, love him because when my mother couldn't show, her feelings, my dad did. I was just like, all right. So I talked to him. I'm like, I'm going through this. He was like, you know what? I got you. Let's go out for some ice cream and talk. I'm like, all right. But then coming back home, I had to like zip it all in. I was just like, damn, I need like a woman's perspective. But I'm just like, you know what? He he helped me out. So I was just like, you know what? My new favorite. However, saying that now, can't like say that he's my favorite because I love my mother to death. But like back then, I was just like, you didn't want kids because what are you doing right now? Literally all my life, I just been so depressed. But then I'm like, you know what? I get it. I get you now. But like, you need to change because I can't do this anymore. Like you will literally lose me as a daughter if like you keep acting this way. But I'm just like, you know what?
And do you think she would? How do you think she would feel if she loses you as a daughter? Because like your mom.
Oh, she'll be sad.
Like she cares about you, but she just isn't instilling boundaries.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I'm trying to fix it. She's not trying at all, but I'm just like, it's okay.
But is that coming
old.
back to like sweeping it under the rug? Like, do you feel like she's like, all of this happened, but now it's in the past, and since I'm not directly looking at it and it's not a current issue, I don't have to feel guilty about it.
Exactly, but back here, it's still like painful for me. So I'm just like,
with sweeping it under the rug and like that, we'll always remember it and we'll always feel something about it. But they will too. But they'll also be like, I can move on from that because it's in the past and because it's like I can't change that now. And I was trying my best and like this is my first time parenting as well.
But I mean, it's like also if you think about like the hand that's dealing the punishment doesn't feel the pain.
Yeah.
So in my day-to-day activity, I drive, but that's not memorable. But of course, the time I drive and I get into a car accident, that's going to be memorable for me because that's like a level of trauma. Mm-hmm. So it's like your parent put their hands on you. You're going to physically feel that, and your brain is going to feel a fear towards your parent because you know that they beat you down that one time. Them doing it doesn't feel as intense because they don't feel the effects. Now, I'm just hitting you with a belt. I'm not feeling the strike of that belt. So it's easy for them to be like, it was just a whooping, like, and you deserved it. But, like, how can you tell somebody what they deserve when you're not feeling the same pain they're feeling?
And then they'll always say that, oh, well, I had it much worse. You lucked out a lot better. And it's like...
But it's like, should we be comparing something like pain and emotion? Or should we just be working to enhance people's lives like the best we can? Like, I think a lot of the time parents get caught up in, my parent was so much worse, so like I can't be that bad.
Yeah.
And to an extent, yeah, like I'm glad I don't have to go pick a switch off the tree and get like beat. Like I'm glad we're not doing like hot water or anything like that. But at the same time, you got to think like as an adult, you're supposed to have the maturity to level with your kid, and that's why I say like gentle parenting. We're to the point where people are like, okay, honey, you don't have to brush your teeth because you don't like it. That's something that you have to force your kid to do. You don't have to force your kid to take ballet, but you got to make sure your kid washes their butt, brushes their teeth, has hygiene, and takes care of themselves and brushes their hair. And I mean, like, when you send your kid to school and they have a rat's nest on their head and it's matted, they're going to look at you as the parent for why your kid's hair isn't matted. Mm-hmm. So I don't think, like, I think a lot of people get caught up in, well, I give you food, I give you a house, I give you clothes, I made sure your hair was done. And then it's like, okay, but what else? Like, remember, like, a couple weeks ago, I was, like, talking about, like, when guys compliment you and they're like, oh, you're so pretty and hot. And you're like, well, what else is there? Okay, like, you gave me my basic necessities for, like, the bottom of the hierarchy of needs. Did you fill in my self-actualization? Did you teach me to believe in myself? Do you believe in yourself as an adult? And am I watching you not believe in yourself? I think, like sometimes my mom was like, well, I don't feel like I, like, really showed you my anxiety. You don't have to. I think kids have a lot more intuition than people give them credit for.
We feel your anxiety. Show us how you handle the anxiety. That's what we're not fully seeing.
Walk it like you talk it. Like, parents, like, oh my God, like, in the recent years, like, one funny, like comparison is, like, people are always, like, their parents grew up and they're like, don't smoke weed is bad for you, no drugs.
Like, bitch, and you grew up during the age of crack
and then
cocaine.
And then now, like, it's legalized and, like, a lot of people's parents are, like, going to edibles or, like, hitting pins. So then it's, like, now what happened to, like, all this, like, weed is a gateway drug thing. Like, you have to walk it like you talk it. Like, you can't tell your kid not to drink and then you drink every day.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell your kid not to smoke, and then like behind closed doors you're smoking. Don't be a hypocrite, because then I'm just gonna lose respect. I'd rather you be upfront with me and tell me what's going on, and then we can partner up as humans going through life together. I mean, I like just told my mom, like, I feel like we just learned to communicate, like, recently. And, like, being able to tell her, like, I'm sorry I said that. Like, I was upset, and it just came from a place of, like, anger. And I think she is getting better at it, but I don't think a lot of parents, especially in ethnic households, and, like, you know, earlier I was saying, like, don't know how to apologize. I don't even know if it's, like, they don't know how to apologize. I just think they don't have that same level of emotional connection because they didn't have it with their parents.
It's a generational trauma
Yeah.
type thing where it's just every generation before. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Finish.
Every generation beforehand has just kind of been like, especially in the ethnic households, has been more of a. And I'll give it for white people during like the parents that were born during the silent era, the ones in between the Cold War, World War I, and World War II, because the way they were raised was to you don't say it, you don't see it, you don't do any of that, you just go to work, you do what you gotta go do.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more of a you're just doing what you need to do to survive, but they're not realizing that you can give your kids more than just that nowadays. You can give them that emotional connection. You don't have to make them strong by breaking them first.
And that's the thing, though. Like, I watched a video that was like how, like, way back and like way before Jim Crow, like back when we had like slavery, a lot of like African parents would have to dumb down what their kid could actually do so that they wouldn't get sold and like separated from the family. So there was like, oh, my boy, he's too dumb to shovel. Like, he can't do that. We tried, he can't do it. So they had to almost humiliate their kid or dumb their kid down in order to protect their kid. And then it's like they talked about how like they feel like the pipeline of how Black parents parent, like African American parents, or even if you're like if you're an immigrant or you come from somewhere else and you're just dealing with like a different perspective than they're used to, they don't adapt to it. Like, and it doesn't regulate itself. So it's like I think that now it's like we have Black parents that are like, okay, I want my kid to be successful, but I don't want the world to hurt my kid. So I'm gonna set them up. So I think the logic for them is I'm gonna set them up for success by being their first critic, by being the first person that tells them what's going on. They feel like, okay, I'm telling her she's gaining weight so she can maintain it. I'm telling her that she needs to dress better so she can present herself better to the world. Like, I'm doing all of this so that she will succeed because it won't hurt coming from someone else. But then also sometimes, like, I want to say, like, I just need my mom. Like, I just need you to be here for me right now in this moment. I don't need to hear about the consequences of this action. I don't need to hear about what's going to happen in the long run. I don't need to hear about my jeans not fitting. Like, sometimes I just want to talk to you about something without you being like, oh, well, if you dress nicer. Like, you know? So I think they get so caught up in, well, the world's going to say it anyway, so I might as well say it first. Whereas you could just not say it and be there for your kid when the world says it. You know? Especially, we live in a world right now where, like, body image is so
high on the...
They want to look like us, actually. I'm not going to
Yeah, and it's like, I mean...
Well, you...
I was talking about early 2000s, and I was, like, thinking about the fact that, like, there was a period of time where, like, big boobs were the thing. Like, they wanted
big boobs and everything's skinny.
I was going to say, like, no booty, no hips, super skinny, anorexic waist, but you got a rack.
Yeah.
So everybody was getting boob jobs. And then it's, like, of course, like, the era of the Kardashians and, like, BBLs and stuff changed body image. So now you have a whole new, like, section of young women that are more insecure about their bodies because that's not even feasible. Like, you can lose weight, but to have a body that looks like that it's not possible because it's fake. So it's like, now I'm like, I even think sometimes, like, when I become a mom, like, if I have a girl, like, how am I gonna navigate this world, like, this culture appropriately?
I just hope we go back to the 20s by then, and it's all the little boy bodies, so that, like, be like, hey, if you flatten everything, then, like, go enjoy that.
I'm sorry,
you don't
but my
need
child's
nothing.
gonna have a butt, sadly.
Coke bottle, like, hourglass.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm gonna need us to run it back to the big boobs because I've got big boobs and I don't got a whole lot of butt.
Go back to that too.
I'm okay.
It's freaking terrible.
No, but what did I want to say again? I don't mind not showing my feelings anymore, not expressing it. Like, honestly,
Is that healthy?
No.
It's not healthy.
I know.
Because
like,
we're literally
but
talking about how it is.
Everyone in this room does it though.
I know, and I hate that. But I'm just like, other times I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to say
I think
anything.
sometimes it can be a good thing and sometimes it can't, because
Yeah.
sometimes people will put you in a position where it's really not that important to tell them how you feel. Like, you've shown me how you feel about me, so now it's not necessary for me to like talk to you back and like tell you how you've made me feel, when I could just let the situation go and walk away. That's something I value doing.
I got used to it though.
You get used to it, and that's how you process things. But
Yeah.
at some point,
you need to be able to talk out those situations, and then you'll just be like, I don't want to.
there's a reason why
I feel
breath
sorry for
work
my
is
child.
like the key to everything. Because when you do yoga, when you work out, when you get a massage, when you do a lot of things in life, they tell you to like in through your nose, out through your mouth, or do like breathing patterns. Part of like talking is breathing. So in a way, you are getting it off of your chest, like physically and mentally. Because when you say it out loud, like even if you just find time like in the shower just to say out loud to yourself, like, that situation was fucked up. I didn't like what that person did. And maybe I'm not going to tell that person because I'm not trying to look weak or I'm not trying to look a certain way. But you need to validate yourself in what you're doing. So you can't just bottle it up in your head. Our brains are only so big and they can only hold so much.
Also, that type of stress is not good for your body.
She's like, my brain's going to grow.
But that's why people break things instead. You know, like they like go to rage rooms and just let it all out.
Yeah, but
instead of talking.
You shouldn't always go do that. You should be able to have a less
I
violent,
hate you.
less violent, more constructive way to release your feelings is what is healthiest. I'm not saying don't go break things. Don't go to a rage room.
It's also healthy to like break things if you then want to like
again,
rage out on them.
It's not the. That's if you're trying to hurt a person though. Yeah. But what got you to the point of wanting to hurt a person? That you should. That there's a lot of steps you could take before that happens.
No, but like, Lori, seriously, like from a heart-to-heart perspective, bottling it up leads to breakdowns where you're not processing it, so your brain's like, screw it, I'm gonna process it for you, and that's not always pretty.
It'll come out of a different. It'll come
And
out
then
of
next
a
thing you
different
know,
no, like
next thing you know, you're in a
I already
class
had
having a
that
debate,
happen
and you just
already,
have a shamble. And
Something
by
happened.
4:30, I want to be done. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine.
So we can go get noodles.
Oh no, yeah. To be honest, I had it happen already. So like, I said, never again. Will I ever
Do you
be
journal?
that? Yeah. And I do poetry. I write songs. I like make scripts just to like be like, all right, new idea. Matter of fact, sometimes I call her and then I have these weird dreams that I'm just like, it's dark, put it down. I write it down. I'm just like, damn, my brain is really like that. I'm just like, bad life. But I'm like, it's okay because one day I could make all of that to something.
It's not necessarily from a bad life. It's just because as a kid you didn't have a different coping mechanism. Like myself and a lot of other kids who have like your situation, they tend to look towards fantasy things and like cartoons and stuff like that because escapism is the biggest way that children tend to deal with.
I didn't really have TV. But...
Oh, we got deep with it though.
Yeah, but escapism
Well,
is the biggest
I mean,
way that kids tend to deal with it. But you learn through those things if you find something that's healthy about it, how to deal with what you're going through. But if you don't take anything out of those things, because most kids aren't as they're intuitive, but they're not as intuitive to take a lesson out of everything that they see.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I will thank my mom and my family for. We take lessons out of every single situation.
Oh yeah. My lesson is don't be like how she was to us. So like I'm towards my children. They will get all the love, even though it might be fake sometimes. Hope not. But I'm just like, okay, you gotta like just not do that to them and just be like, I love you, baby, mwah, and kiss them all that.
I feel like it'll depend because like you can say that now, but once you're like, let's say you get towards those terrible 2s, horrible 3s and 4s and 5s, and it's just kind of like.
To take them.
Enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
That's too much. Like.
But that's I feel
where
that's
that
why
go to
like,
your
they
room
lean
comes
so
from.
hard on the tablets now and stuff. Because it's a very easy way to dismiss your kid and like get them like away from you. But
then
in
they get used to
reality,
it.
if you didn't have a TV, then you didn't have a TV. But we're all the age of TV kids. The TV wasn't necessarily our babysitter, but it was our babysitter.
We also weren't 100% raised by phones. I was talking about this recently. How like I think we're like one of the last like age groups where we didn't have a phone at 4 and 5. Like I didn't get my first phone until I was in 6th grade. So it was like that took time, and it wasn't a smartphone. It was a slider phone.
I had a nice little flip phone.
I had a flip phone, and you had to go to text. Like
High school.
man, I know people who had an iPod Touch until they were seniors in high school. Like,
I wasn't gonna be having a phone until high school, but then I convinced my dad to get me a phone. On his phone, she was like, "If your father wants to buy you a phone, he can buy you a phone."
the only
He
reason
could
I
go
got a
pay for that. I'm
phone
not
was
paying
because I
for your
started taking
phone.
the bus, and then my
See?
mom was like, "Well, I want to be in contact with you,
And
so
see-
like I have a reason for it."
My mom was like, "You're never in a situation where there's not somebody else I can contact, so there's no reason for you to have a phone. Like, if you want to talk to your friends, use the house phone." I'm like, but you can pick up on that house phone and listen to me.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I used to take the cordless phone and be all up in my room
Yeah.
talking on the phone, completely forgetting my mom can hear. But I'd be talking about boys, everything. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think everybody's meant to be a mom. I think a lot of moms become moms and then they feel like they're forced to be a mom, because a kid is a minimum 18-year commitment. Okay,
And not even
minimum 18
Not even
years.
that nowadays. That was the old. I feel like that's like early '90s requirement. Because even after
Because
that,
now your kid is around
that's-
until
that's until they're 25, 28 is where you should be expecting to take care and nurture your child.
Yeah, and that's the thing also is like,
And most parents, our parents at least, they don't get. They're like, you should have already been done this. You should have already been able to go do this. If I can do this at your age, you can do this at my age. I'm like, yeah, these are still different. Like, it's not like when your grandparents bought houses for like real cheap and they still have them, but it's still like, this is still a different generation. The money is different. Everything's different. We got completely screwed after 08. Our future was already set for us, and they
that's
didn't
the
want to
thing.
tell
I'm
us.
like, by the time the housing market like got ruined, it was like too late.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because like even what we're dealing with now, it's like the first recession never ended. Like after 08, they tried to like brush off the fact that we were like in a recession, but we were really only like on the cusp, like out of the red. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like even Black Friday. People were talking about how like Black Friday, like the deals aren't as good anymore, but there's like a science behind it, because Black Friday used to be where like businesses would be in the red, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they want to be in the black or they want to be in the clear. So they would have these sales so they could get rid of a bunch of merchandise, and then it makes their sales look like they're way better than they really were.
Yeah.
But now companies are suffering to the point where they're like, we don't want to get rid of merchandise. We need this merchandise at full price to make ends meet. So Black Friday deals are the same deals they always have, and they just dress it up because, you know, and that's why they're not as exciting anymore. So it's like, we don't get old Black Friday. Like, we got to see all the things we wanted to have,
But we weren't
like
old enough to
houses and stuff like that. But we weren't
The
old enough to
rights,
participate.
right.
What I wouldn't
I
give
know.
to be in the clubs at the time that TikTok by Kesha was popular. Yo, or like, come on. If we were like early Beyonce, Sierra.
The
In the-
music, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
The music now, I don't want to hear in the clubs because I hear it every other place, and I'm like,
And
give me
you hear it on
something good.
TikTok and things like that. So like, you want like real music.
And it's all TikTok
And,
music.
you know, like, I feel bad that kids these days have lost the art of an album release. Like, a real album release. Like, when people used to line up outside for Beyonce CDs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do miss that level of nostalgia.
Oh, I used to
Like,
burn it. Just be like,
oh my God, I
Yeah,
used to
oh
burn
my
a CD in a
God.
heartbeat. My mom burned me, like, the Alicia Keys
We
CDs.
used to get all the movies from this one guy at the YMCA.
The bootleg,
Yeah.
And it's like, and then, like, Blu-ray DVDs were, like, the future. Like, we were cool
It's all
for
gonna be
that.
on this, and then Netflix happened, and then
And then even Netflix is, like, failing right now.
Expensive.
yeah,
Mm.
And now
Shame.
Netflix is like, yeah, you can't use it in your college dorm because we don't want you to. So if your parent pays for it, you can't use it there. Sorry.
that's shitty.
Now, that's the one benefit to not having siblings right now is because, like, I got my mom's and I could just be like, I'm the authorized user and call it a day.
I'm so upset.
When you got siblings, like, and everybody's using it, you're just going to boot it off one by one. Okay. I think we're going to round out the
Yeah.
conversation right now, guys, because I'm hungry. But I'll see you guys next
we
week
talked
on
about everything.
Wednesday.
Shoes
Yeah.
on. Put your shoes on.
I'm going to put my shoes on and we're going to go get some food. All right.
Bye.
Bye.